started. So this is the student guide for the Aws Academy Learner Lab. You must have already gotten this if you're, first of all, welcome to a new session. Today is a special session on Learner Labs. This is a course specifically for those who have already finished at least 4 knowledge checks and at least 4 labs. I think by now you've already done, I think three labs. You've done the IAM, Identity and Access Management. We've already done the VPC lab, and also you've done the EC2 lab. So at least you should have already done all those labs. You should have already done at least 4 knowledge checks. You need to have already done the first module, the second module, and the third and the fourth. Gone through them all. For you to be eligible to take advantage of the Aws Academy Learner Labs. So basically what the Aws Academy Learner Lab, before I take you through, is basically a place where you can do your learning in a persistent manner, such that when you create an EC2 instance, it will persist for as long as you are enrolled to the Aws Academy Learner Lab, and as long as your credits are not like your $100 allocation is not fully expended, or you've not used it all up. So it actually really helps you to do something, within the labs, within the module, they're limited. They're not supposed to do anything outside the lab. For example, if you're told to click on this and do that, you are limited to just do just that. So let's say if you want to do identity access management, you want to apply VPC, and you also want to do EC2 all in one setting, like in one setup. Like, for example, you want to do all those and they persist for as long as you can be able to see whatever you've done. You don't have to start afresh. That is the work of, now that is where Aws Academy Learner Lab comes in. So by now you should have already been able to get your account, because the moment you're accessing the Aws Academy Cloud Foundations course, you should have already been able to do all this and how to log in. By now you should already have gotten the grip of it. Okay, then we have the dashboard. This one you already know. And by now, if you are eligible and have already invited you and you have accepted, you should already see this course, which we are doing, the Academic Cloud Foundations, and this one, which is highlighted, which is Aws Academy Learner Lab. So when you open it, when you launch it, the modules, you can be able to go to modules, and this is basically what I'm going to do on this side. I'll go on a student view. It will allow me to do a student view so that you see it the way you would see it, right? So that you don't see it the way I see it. So you're being told you can see this part, home modules discussion, and also the same is also here, the modules, the discussions, and maybe course support. So I can go to the resources area of my Aws Academy portal homepage, and list of supported in Lab for each list of supported services. The sandbox is the educator designed project work, lab exercises, or practice that is created and tested within the Learner Lab. So what you need to note is this, that it provides a bit of a long-running sandbox environment for ad hoc exploration of Aws services. Then students will have access. Don't forget that still you're going to be restricted in terms of what you can and cannot do. And that is what I'm being told, that I can be able to see it under the resources area. Then you realize that what happens in an Aws production account may really not work in the sandbox environment. That is a disclaimer. then you'll be able to retain access to the resources set up in the environment for the duration of the course. For as long as this course is on, you'll have it. Then the budget for your lab is limited to $100. So you should always exercise caution and prevent charges that can change, because when your budget is finished, you cannot do, you lose access to everything, and you lose your work. Then you should always remember that each session will always last for 4 hours the moment you start a session, and then you can extend by clicking the start to reset your session timer so that the timer can go on and on a bit. But you can't still be in the labs for more than 4 hours in one session, unless I don't know what you're doing there. Then other resources such as RDS will keep on running. But don't forget that EC2 instances are usually automatically shut down, and when you come back, you'll also need to start them up. You need to launch the instances. Okay, I think that is it on the introduction side. Let us go through the guide, your guide. So let's go to modules. Been told to go to modules. You can go to do that. Let's go to modules. At any point in time, you can ask questions on the chat. I'll check on that. Then these are your modules. So you have the student guide, which you are following right now. Then we have the lab, the learner lab link here. You can see this one is an attachment. This one is a link, and this one is the end of course feedback survey. That's when you close the learner lab. Okay, let's go back to our guide. So you'll select the learner lab item. This one with a link. What happens next? The instructions for using the lab environment to the right of the console window. You can return to instructions by pressing the README button. The README is up here, so you can see it there. This is where the README is. So it gives you instructions, and also tells you what services are available to you and the restrictions placed on some of the services. Okay, so start the lab by selecting Start Lab. So we can do this. You can see it is here. You can see your README is here. You can open it at any point in time. It will appear there. You'll be able to see some of the things that you can do, how you can preserve your budget, what you really have. You can always get that there on your README. Then I'll start the lab. Don't forget that our labs are provided by Vocarium. Vocarium is the provider. So that is where you can see their logo there. So as it launches, and the dots next to AWS turns green, your lab environment is ready to use. Click on AWS to launch the AWS console in a new tab. Alternatively, you can use the terminal window to the left of the instructions to use AWS command line interface to interact with your account. That is when you want to use the CLI. A new tab will open. This you already know. When you open our lab, usually see that when you click on AWS, a new tab automatically opens and you get to your management console and you can open the services. Then you should always remember that it will be logged into a temporary AWS account, and the lab session will automatically end when the session timer expires. Then something else is save your work when you end the session or the session timer expires. The system will save your work. That is something we should note when you end the session or when your time expires. So this is different from the lab. When you end the lab in Cloud Foundation course, all your work is lost. Like the services are terminated. But But when you start the lab, when you come back, you're going to see that you're able to go back to where you are. Return to the Aws Academy LMS tab, view the tab to view the lab instructions or to control your lab session. Let's see where mine is. Where did mine get? Yeah, so you can see mine. When you look at it, where my mouse is moving around and around, my AWS has a green dot around it. So it means that it is ready. So when I click on it, and you can see it's telling me that I now have 3 hours and 58 minutes. It can also tell me how much I've used of my $100. I can always see that. Then another thing is you already have your README. It is your CLI. If you want to interact with your AWS management console via command line, you can still use this. But if you want to access it using the normal GUI, the graphical user interface, just click on that. So you can see it is going to automatically log me in. And you can see automatically I have my account ready. You can see, and I can just check on the services that I would want. So I can now interact. Here I'm not following any lab, I'm not following any step-by-step instructions, but I can just basically even try to do maybe the EC2 lab using this, and I'll be sure that it will still be there. Don't forget also that you have some limits. So what that means is you should always read this README and see the restrictions. You can see service usage and other restrictions. Service restrictions are subject to change. The following services can be used. Specific limitations apply as documented, so you can use the auto-scaling, Aurora, Cloud9, CloudFormation, CloudFront, CloudShare, CloudTrail, CloudWatch, CodeCommit, Comprehend, Depressor, DemNamoDB, EC2 auto-scaling, Elastic Beanstalk, EBS, the one for storage, EC2 instances. You can look at the supported AMIs available, Amazon Machine Images. Don't forget that AWS Marketplace AMIs are not supported. Such AMIs such as macOS that must launch such as a dedicated on a dedicated host are also not supported. That is something else. Recommendation to launch an instance with a guest OS of Microsoft Windows or one of the many other popular Linux. Choose launch instances, then choose the ones available in the quick start tab. So for example, let's try this. So maybe you don't want to do an Amazon machine image. Maybe I want to do an Ubuntu image, or maybe yes, or Windows or whatever. So let's say I'm going to go to EC2. You can see it is already here, but you can still follow the other process usually do. Just do EC2. I open it there. So you can say I don't have any instances pre-created for me because this is not a lab. So I can decide to launch an instance. Then I can, so you've been told that AWS Marketplace images are not available, but under quick start, you can see, I can do macOS Monterey, but I don't know whether it's going to really work if it requires a dedicated. Remember, you've been told here that AMIs such as macOS that must launch as a dedicated instance or on a dedicated are also not supported. So they might not really work. But you can see, I can see SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Server 20.04, Deep Learning AMI, Deep Learning AMI GPU by PyTorch. I can see these are free tier eligible. There are some that are free tier eligible. Free tier means that you're not going to be charged a lot. You can see Microsoft Windows Server, these bit containers, You can see Windows Server 2022, Data Center Edition. You can see Amazon Deep Learning, all these. I think I want to, let me see which one I can launch. Also don't want to deplete. I don't want to deplete my. So let me do an Ubuntu server. Let's see this one. Let me see the default EBS that I'm going to get. T2.micro, I can still use that one. I think it gives me 1 GB of memory and 1 virtual CPU. And configure the instance details. Did I create a VPC? I think I haven't created a VPC, but it's okay. We're doing a test run. Remember, don't forget that we learned about termination protection. We can do that. Again, if you have any user data, if you want to recreate it with some things to run, maybe to install some Apache or whatever, you can run it here. You can put it here. Yeah, I think we can go on. Add storage at the 8 GB. Let's follow with the default. Add tags. I can do a tag. You can see name. Ubuntu 20.0 for server. Next, configure security group. I can allow SSH. It's fine. Let's do that one. I don't have an existing one, I'm sure of it. This is the default one, but I can just create a new one. And I launch it. So you can see currently I'm using my Learner. I'm using my Learner Lab. And I don't know whether I can choose an existing. I acknowledge you already know this in the EC2 lab. The only things that I've missed to do in the EC2 lab is choosing the right VPC. I've already done the termination protection. So you can see my instance is launching. I don't know whether it has costed me anything. It's a free tier. Maybe I can refresh. I don't know if I can refresh from here, but it's okay. It should actually show me here. So it's launching. Don't forget that I'm not following any steps. I'm just doing things as I feel or as I've learned. So you can see a role named lab role and an instance profile named lab instance profile have been pre-created for you. You can attach the role by instance profile to an EC2 when you want to access an EC2 terminal in browser using AWS System Session Manager. The role also grants permission to applications running on the instance to access other services from the instance. So I can use a role. I can use this lab instance profile and lab role to access or to make my EC2 access other services. So to preserve your lab budget, always remember to stop any running EC2 instance before you are done using your account for the day, and terminate them if you don't need them. So don't after you left, after you've stopped your lab or you're done with your lab for the day. So remember that all instances that you keep in your account between sessions, because they'll run and cut into your budget, and then you start the lab unless you remember to stop them manually after. When you start the lab again, unless you remember to stop them, unless you remember to turn them off, stop them manually after starting the lab. So these are the others. So remember that identity and access manager, It has extremely limited access. You cannot create users of groups, you cannot create roles, except that you can create service linked roles. Then you should always remember that a role named lab role has been created. That is for identity and access management. Then this is, you can attach this lab instant lab profile via the instant profile lab instant profile. You can also attach it to a Lambda function, to S3, CloudWatch RDS. You also can access KMS, the key management service for AWS, Lightsail. All these are the services you can access. But still don't forget that there are some services you cannot access, although they look so many, that you might find yourself maybe trying to stumble over some so you can run some CLI commands. For example, I think I can do this. Let me see whether I can do this here. Whether it's going to work. You can see it has worked. So let's confirm. So you can see I have one instance. There's a public IP of 54.144. Let's confirm that our instance finished running. So you can just go to view instances down here. This one is my Ubuntu. You can see it's exactly the one. You can see that. And I still can access it via CLI. So I don't know. This is my CLI. Cloud CLI. Or I can SSH to it. I don't know whether I can really SSH to it. So it's still creating the environment for my Cloud Shell. So you can use the SDK for Python. Then also there's some guidance. You can now use the pricing calculator. Basically, you're not going to do a lot of things that you have been learning maybe from. So how do you access the EC2 instances? Also remember that you can download the PPK button. I mean, AWS details. So I can just go to AWS details. And I can download the PPK. So you can see if it's already telling me how much time I have. And I think I can now open this PPK using PuTTY. maybe I can put my, let me see if I can put this. Where is my EC2? Open EC2. Just so I'm basically just showing you before you go back to the guide how you really survive and how you get to do these things. So where we let me get to know the public IP. Let me see that I can put it into it now that I've downloaded the PPK. So this is the public IPv4 address. Just copy it, paste it here. You can decide to save it. Go to AWS. Let's remember the password. Oh, I should do something else. Sorry. Putty, because I didn't create it with a password. So message. Oh. So let's have this way. Let's go back to this. I close that. Let's go to where it was. It's all about accessing. So really know that usually here. Or do I need to change the PPK to PM? I can decide to use the PM. Let me see whether it's going to help me. Let's use the PM, not the PPK. The PM is there. Let's go back to our putty and we go to that. Where's my PM? Under downloads. What the hell? Okay. Oh, it's really. But it's asking for PPK files. Let me see whether I'm going to make sure I log into my EC2. Delete that. Then I decide to do the public IP. I don't know if I still have it. Oh, good, I still have it. And I go to SSH. I go to authentication. Choose the PPK. I can open. Still getting me there, but I don't know, it's not logging me automatically. It would have been better if I'm using my MacBook, so actually prefer the not that conversant with Windows CLIs and everything. Putty. So let's see, it is not going to work because you're not supposed to put a username and a password, because you can see it's not going to allow that. Let's go on with first all with the guide, then I'll see whether I'll do that at the end of the session. Control, you can come back here to control. We've already done that a lot of times. You can monitor your spend. Again, this is where you monitor your spend. You can see I still haven't spent much. Nothing yet, as yet. And data refreshes periodic up to 8 hours after spending occurs. So you can monitor your remaining session time. You can also check how much time you have left, always here. I can have 3 hours, 36 minutes. I'm going to obviously use that. Again, I can still click Start Lab again, and it's going to do it refresh. You can start afresh by using the reset, but always remember that resetting does not change your budget. If you already spent $5 or $10, by clicking reset is not going to take your budget back, but you'll lose your work. You'll have to start from fresh. So don't forget that. Always remember that. That's what I usually tell my students, that the reset does not reset everything here. And also the reset is not like an undo button. You lose your work. Then press the end lab to end your lab session. That you can still always use that. You'll always remember that it's going to stop your EC2 instances, but when you restart, you're going to get them. So always remember that if you configure NAT gateways and other RDS services, they always continue to run in the background, and they can continue to incur charges even outside your lab session time. So always remember that. So check out, especially the NAT gateways. You can just disable them, or you can unconfigure them once you're done with them, and then you can reconfigure. So always remember that $100 is sufficient for most academic projects, and as long as you take care to stay within the budget guidelines. Then what are your next steps? Basically, you can always ask any questions to me, and I can provide specific assignments that are not in the lab. I can get labs from elsewhere that are not there, and I tell you to do it within your Aws Academy Learner Labs. Also, you can work on a project of your own, but always remember that you're within an $100 budget. Always remember that before you contact Aws Academy support, you can always ask me first. It may be something that you might just not be doing right. Rarely do the labs not work. Okay, I think we have done it with your guide, your student guide. Let's see whether I'm going to make my instance. I'm going to be able to access my instance. This is the Cloud Shell. This is where we were. So you are being told that I can SSH. So this is where I was being told something. I can close that. See whether if I can. To do the private public key. So. Mm. Let's use Cloud Shell and see how it works. Let me get the command down here. So you use putty to SSH, open putty. Choose connection. Set 30 seconds. configure. I choose session, what public IP, find it return. I've already done that. Back input here, and this is basically what I was doing. Open Aws, expand it. I chose browse, open. I've basically done all this exactly the way they're telling me. Because I already know this, I already do this a lot of times. The server refused our key. So do I, oh, it needs the public, it needs the damn public key, not the private. So we need to use the public key in the private. Where did I put the public key? Did I save it here? Open it, but still you can be asking questions if you have any. As I sort this, because I've already done, I'm just trying to make sure I can use Putty to log into my EC2 instance that I've just created, my Ubuntu EC2 instance. I can still be asking questions. Is the private key load? I can just use that one. Open SSH authorized keys. Let's see whether that will work. When I go to auth, let's see, like that one will work. Go back to session. I paste. I have to paste the public IP. Host key did not appear in manually configured. Lists. I really hate Putty. Just gives a hell of me. Let's see that our Cloud Shell really will help us here. So I can still use the terminal here. Here's my terminal. This is my terminal. I can still use this. I prefer this over putty. So I'll just do this. I'll paste it. Really not showing. Let's see whether I can refresh. Good. And if it has refreshed, hope it is not, it has not lost. I've not lost my session. Let it load. Then I can still use that command. So let me save it on my notepad somewhere. So as I finish up, so this is a very important command. So my public IP is this. So I'll just change this part. I'll put that. I'll save. It has loaded. I'll paste. You can see it has worked. Continue copying. Yes. Permission denied public key. It's also giving the exam the same question. Is it that problem with my with how I've done my EC2 instance? Might be that. Security. If you're just going to connect from that, let us see. Oh yeah. I think I didn't put the IAM instance profile. I think that's the reason why. So any questions so far? Any question? I know I've spent 7 minutes more. but I was just trying to ensure that I am able to log into my Ubuntu. Maybe I've just set it up without, I have actually haven't done the IAM. You can see I'm getting a lot of errors. So I'm not allowed to do all this. Instant Connect is not working. Yeah, okay, it's vockey.pem. So my PEM must be somewhere here. Okay. See now it's going to work. I'll attach the lab instance profile, the instance. See now the instant connect will work. The default user is EC2 user, like that. It is going to work. Still having some problem. Let's look at our EC2. Let's try to do this. Permission denied public key. We can just copy this. Resolve it very fast. There's a lot of things. I think Stack Overflow will work better. Let's see. So let's say the reason is going to work. And I put the public key. Where was the damn public key? I think I saw the public key here. AWS details. So let us start another instance. Since maybe the issue is how I did my instance. So I'll terminate this one. Always remember to terminate an instance that you're not going to use. Oh yeah, remember the termination protection. You have to go back to actions, instance settings, actually security. Yeah, change termination protection. I disable it, save that. Then I can delete this. I think the issue is this. Let's terminate it. Then I can launch an instance. Then we can still use Ubuntu Server 20.04. These parts are usually just that. Instance this one. Don't forget you can also do you can use an auto scaling. You can see that, you can practice that lab. I'm going to show you that later on. You can use the default VPC, but you can create a VPC. IAM role. Don't forget you're going to use lab instance profile. What else? I think I can just leave it at that. Add storage. Add tags. Ubuntu name. Ubuntu. Next, configure security group. Use this one. Yeah. What else? What else? I see that's where the issue was. I've just created a new one. Make sure it is under creating status. So the other one is terminated, the other one is still coming up. Anyway, it's a question. You've been so silent today. Feeling that I'm doing this alone after I haven't lost you all. Mesha, Peter, William, Felix, Abraham. Are you seeing how Learner Labs is interesting? You can just do your own thing without following any kind of steps and try out these services. So basically, I just want to make sure that I can put you or I can SSH into this. So I've gotten the IPv4. Just change it here. The IPv4 public IP has changed. Let's see whether, okay, mine is shakes. I don't know if it has been stored here. Maybe it has shakes. See whether this one is going to work on my console here. Okay. Not accessible. Let me cd to this part. I'll put an eye. I'm only seeing lab user. So it means that it's only lab user that is there. So that means I'll still try and now use PuTTY. Okay. So I've done that. And as I'm feeling now we are getting there. I can go to this, get my shakes.ppk, and go to the session, I get my public IP. And I run that. What else do I need to do before I fail to do open? Server refused our key. Server refused our key. Why is it refusing our key? Do I need to save the public key? Okay, let's see how this is going to work something. This from my 40 gen. I thought the moment it gets the private key, it can just get the public key because it's in the public domain. Go to keys, host keys. That's the public key. Do I need to put it without the A's? Let's do this. And I do that. Skill did not appear in the manually configured lists. So let's use the private key. So this is the public key, this is the private key. So which one do I put? Okay, not in the valid format. It should be this one. Let's get this done. Wish I had the command line. This life would be very easy. Host keys. It has accepted that one. Let's see how this is going to work now. To session. I have to get the, let me just get the public key from here. Copy. Paste it. And save it as Ubuntu AWS. It did not appear in the manually configured list. Here's my to AWS. Load it. Go to host keys. Remove that. I go to the browse. Tap ppk. We try this one. This one. Server refuse tab. That's public key. Also, our key doesn't have the public, so I need to use the public key. Go to this part for the private key. Okay, 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 okay. I can save the private key as a PPK. So I need to save the private key. No. Yes. It's private. Now can I use that here? Then I load it. Go to Aws. The Shakes private. Let's see whether the server is going to refuse our key again. Again, I needed to remove because I didn't save. I load it. I go to keys. From that, I go to auth, put the Shakes private, and then I go back to session. Let me save that so that I don't have to repeat that again. Connect once. Why doesn't it not want to connect? Linux. Servers refuse to. So I'll just look at what is the issue, but it's just a key issue. It must be a key issue. And I'm sure that now that I have the PM, which is here, must have it out. Let me use my Linux. Let me use my MacBook. Let's see. And then I tell you. Right now, we can't end the session without starting this. I've opened my Mac. Sorry, shall be my email. Okay. So let me close this. Like to downloads. Copy it. Paste it there. Good. Do this here. I think I can do my Zoom. I can get to Zoom on my Mac. So I'm not keeping you so long. Let's just follow this and we do it. Okay. Start this. Share my screen. Share my Mac screen. Okay. So let's look at how this works. So they can just put it on the down. Copy the shop. Go to download. Let's put it on a desktop. Founder is here. Yes, it's down here. There it is. So I can now edit my desktop and I can now okay. And also YouTube. Is here. It is there. Okay. So the command was then. So it is SSH I shift.pm PC2 user at the pipe was at okay. Let's see how this pans out. There is something. Let me check. 54.1.207.35. Is that the IP? It's the one. Oh yeah, you need to do a gmod. Forgot gmod 400 sheets.py. I can do this very fast. Say that my app has an issue. Good. So it's still having that issue of public key. Or should I download? Should I use lab user key? It's a public-private key issue. Can try and use the lab user and see whether it's going to work. Let's see. In this life, you never give up. Never give up until you get the answer. Okay. It's my downloads. Lab user. I think I need to download the PM. I need to go to the Learner Lab. So let me share my screen on this other side. Share my screen for you on this other side so that you see what I'm doing. Okay, so I need to go to download the PM here. I already had it. Oh, I didn't know that I had it. So it is here. I copy it, put it in my flash disk. Okay. Then I'll put it other side. On a screen. Share. Okay, so I now oh, sorry about that. As run. So I'm just trying to and I don't know if it's regarding yeah. Let me share my screen on this other side. Okay. So if you see very well, I had the lab user.pm labs user, but our IP is different. IP must be 54.165. So you can see it gets there, it gets the key, meaning that the server is up. But the moment it gets there, there's a permission denied public key. And you try to troubleshoot that. Oh, there's sudo. Let's see whether if you use sudo, it's going to work. Let's use sudo on this other side. But I will let's see, those episodes, the key of left to CD to the left, CD to the left. Then to the key is and then I think should be the user at the IP. We just confirm. Yeah. User at wow. Asking for the password or my password. Is sudo really fast? Sudo is not a thing. Let me see whether I'm going to sudo here. Terminal is in a elevated mode. So that Tamias is going to do something for me. That I'm logged in. I'm not logged in. It's another phone. I've logged in. Good. So let me do for this my Tamias. The address is 54. Dot, is it 165? Just confirm. Yeah, 165. Dot 207. Dot 35. This is key. Put a key. Let's say a file. You can check my desktop. I don't know which file. I think this is the file that It's searching for the public key. What would be? I think that we can get the public key because it's not file. Save it. Oh, okay. Then I need to go to user. Username is easy to user. And can call it Ubuntu on AWS. Ubuntu AWS Learner Lab. Let's see whether I can access it. You can see concentration is in public key. Connection acceptance. This is the public key. Public key. So it means the public key. I can edit the host. So can I get the public key? I can get the public key somewhere. I should get the PPK. I think the PPK has both the public and the private key. Let me just get it from this other side. Copy. Paste. I have another question, another unrelated question. Let me see whether you're going to have gotten some. This is the public. And then stop. Please start. And yeah. Yeah. So this is the public. So if I do this, to the public, then I can use up then I under my desk. So this is the public. Continue. So the issue is with public, and I'm really not getting where I'm being decided to do, but it's still going to do. But if I start another instance, I should try, maybe I'll try it out and I'll try to see what the issue is with my public key. But that's my learner lab. That is basically the learner lab for you. You can try things, you can really get onto your neck. So the good thing is I still have my instance. So even if I stop, even if I end the lab, you can see I still have 2 hours. But if I end and I say yes, this is my learner lab. So you can see it's red. And then when I start it up again, let it load. Let me remind others about that session at 9. Let's see if it's going to load. So any feedback? Anyone who has been able to access their own learner lab? So you can see, I think it has started. They can see my it's on. So when I go to, where should I go? I should go here. I click on it and it's going to open a new tab. Anyone from the chat? Meshach, Abraham, Felix, Peter, William, or you've just been following me struggle with the with my EC2 instance, which is not SSHing to it. So you can see when I open it, you'll see something. My EC2 will still be there. You can see, but it is under a stopped state. So what happens is I can just select it, go to my instance state, and I start the instance. Also remember that some other labs, you might try to do it on the learner labs, but it's not going to work. But the good thing is all these services that you've already been listed for you on this side, especially on the README, you can access them. And also you're restricted to a certain region. Let's remember that you're restricted to US East 1 and US West 2. So don't try to go to other regions. You might get other messages. So you can see like right now mine is in US East 1. So you can see the instance has been successfully started. And you can see right now I have a new public IP, IPv4. So I'll try to connect to it, but I don't know why it's not working. See that I don't have a public IP, but I think it should be my EC2 that has an issue. Should be that EC2 instance, the way I created it, the way I did it, must be having an issue. So I'll terminate it and I'll start another one until I'm able to get the right thing. That's the good thing with, you can see this one didn't have termination protection. So it was just terminated the moment I clicked on termination. So when I launch an instance, maybe let me just do a weird instance. I don't know whether if I can do this Windows server. Let me do a Windows server. Okay, then you can try this out. Just try them out. Let's see, these are 30 GB. Next tags. It's very important to add tags. This is going to use RDP. I can I think this I'm getting. Oh, I can still use that. I can launch it. So you'll allow me to go to, you can see it is still launching. And then again, I can go back to EC2. I've seen something. Let me try something on the Ubuntu one. As I close this up. Let me try something. This is there an 18.04. We proceed without a key pair. So I'm trying to do it without a key pair so that I can see. So I can see my Windows server is still initializing, it is running. This the status check, the Windows server is on. These ones are terminated. You can see my Ubuntu is running now. Let me see whether I can connect to Instant Connect. The user is always EC2 user, if I'm not wrong. See whether it's going to work. You can see, I think the issue is on the AWS side, because it says that only the user should have been Ubuntu. Let's see. Still having an issue. And you can see that is Instant Connect. And it doesn't have an SSH. I think there's an issue some of log SSH into this EC2, but I'll try and troubleshoot and check on it. So do have a lovely time. Unless there's any query, I think I'll leave it at that. I'll stop the live stream. So kindly try to get onto your Learner Lab, try to do things, and tell me what you think about